Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to welcome our defending champion, Rory McIlroy, back to the Hero Dubai Desert Classic. Rory, we're celebrating the 35th edition of this tournament here in Dubai. Of course, it started in 1989, and I don't want to make you feel old, but obviously the year that you were born. Debuted here as an amateur yourself in 2006, and you've also won this event on 3 occasions. How nice is it for you to come back to Dubai and just kick your year off and get excited about the golfing year ahead?
Yeah, it is. It's. I feel like this tournament has been a sort of staple in my life for at least half of it. You know, I've been coming back to this tournament for 18 years, so over half my life. So yeah, I've wonderful memories of Dubai. I feel like it was a place that gave me one of my first opportunities to come out and play on this tour. My first sponsor was from here. My first win was here. So, you know, a lot of firsts for me in this region. So, yeah, it's been an incredible journey, and I'm always excited to get back to Dubai with, you know, the success that I've had here on this golf course and over at Jumeirah Golf Estates too at the end of the year. So, yeah, I've always liked kicking my year off here. It's a familiar place for me, and I feel like if I can play well here, it's a really good sort of stepping stone to the rest of the year.
Perfect. We'll open up for questions straight away from the floor. Who would like to start? Joy, to the right.
Rory, you always seem to have a little bit of stutter in the first week in UAE, but the second week has always been really good. Just look back at that week, a quad bogey, 2-putt from 3-putt from 2 feet. You seem to have gotten all the bad stuff out of the way.
I hope so. I'd like to think so. Yeah, I think, look, I haven't played a ton of competitive golf since I've played 4 competitive rounds. You know, when did the Ryder Cup end? The 1st of October? From the 1st of October until the 12th or 13th of January, I only played 4 competitive rounds of golf. And those 4 competitive rounds in Dubai at the end of last year, I wouldn't say I was 100% motivated. So I feel like I've had like a 3-month off season basically. So I think once you're going to come back and play, you're going to make some of those mistakes early on, and it's good to play an event like last week where you can learn from them and try to put those things right this week. And, you know, in the bigger scheme of things, you know, with this being a Rolex Series event and the success that I've had here, look, I would have loved to have won last week. But, you know, if even with all those mistakes I made, the fact that I still had a 1-shot lead going down the last, it says to me that my game's in really good shape, and, you know, I should be quite excited for this week.
And while I have the mic, can I ask you about the golf course? Guys are talking about the greens being in really immaculate shape, the best they have seen over here. What did you think of the golf course and any of the changes that?
It's fantastic. I think the course setup is wonderful. I think it's quite penal off the tee. It's quite penal when you miss your second shots and miss greens. The greens are starting to get firm already, and as you said, the putting surfaces are perfect. Yeah, it's the best shape I've seen the course in quite a while. Yeah, it's very good.
Just going to go to Ewan on the left.
That Monday here last year was probably one of the most entertaining days of the golfing year for all of us. What are your memories of that, and what it meant and what it stood for and what you were involved in?
What I remember standing on the 10th tee, and I think Patrick had just made eagle, and I'm just like, had to be him. But I think just the sort of mental fortitude I showed on that back 9 to not sort of let my emotions get the better of me and really stay focused. And yeah, just to make that birdie on the last to win by 1, I was, it meant, you know, in the grand scheme of things, are, you know, people going to remember my 3rd Dubai Desert? I don't know, but it meant a lot to me. I felt like I came through a bit of not adversity, but I really just had to control my my mind and my thoughts and my emotions on that back nine. I felt like I did a really good job of that.
Next question. Okay, Swami, and then we'll go to Ian.
Rory, you know, a player plays about 80 to 100 rounds a year. You know, there will be a few mistakes here and there, but you've been playing superbly. And, you know, there's also a sense of freedom. Is there a sense of freedom in you? Your non-golfing responsibilities have been greatly reduced going into 2024.
Yeah.
You feel a bit more free to look at bigger things?
Yeah, I think I've certainly I've got a little more time to put into my game, I think. Yeah, and I'm probably a little unburdened with some of the things that I was going through over the past couple of years. So yeah, to me, I feel like my focus is firmly back on stuff inside the ropes, and that is a really nice feeling.
Okay, to Ian.
Rory, just kind of following up with that in terms of coming off the policy board, just as a European player,
Yep.
do you have any concerns that there isn't any European representation on that board as we kind of potentially near a conclusion to at least getting a pathway forward?
We do have Adam Scott, which is an international representation, which I think is important. But I think you'd be... I think Keith was saying to you guys yesterday, I think the opportunity here is global, and I think you'd be very naive to not think that way. Especially if you see, you know, even you look at the event at Kapalua a couple of weeks ago, which was supposed to be one of the big signature events, and you see the ratings that did on TV, it's not, you know, I would say they were quite underwhelming compared to some of the other events. So I think the opportunity here is global. There's still massive events in America, and I think that they have huge history and tradition, and they need to be kept. But there's a lot of opportunity elsewhere, and I think with Adam being on the board and seeing maybe the bigger picture of things, I think that's a good thing.
So you feel confident that Europe is not going to get left out in all of this?
I certainly hope not.
We're going to go to David Facey.
Yeah. Hello, Rory. But you're probably aware there's been quite a bit of debate about the relevance of sports personality of the year back home, which you were obviously involved in, especially after failure to get nominations for Fitzy and for Ross Kerr. I just wondered if you're one of those people who questions its relevance these days.
I actually, whenever the results, I forgot I was nominated. So that's how much I think it's relevant. I just like, it's not, it's a popularity contest, and I think it's just not really, it's not what it once was.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Do you think that it's also reflective, maybe your attitude and this debate, the fact that there is a feeling that the BBC, you've got to be really good investigator to find live golf there these days?
Just buy Sky Sports, I guess.
Next question, go to Sean, and then we'll go to Jamie after.
Yeah, last week, Rory, you laid out dream scenario of a global golf tour. Keith kind of reiterated that yesterday. What would you say is maybe the biggest barrier to the game getting there right now? What's maybe holding it back from that?
I think just different interests. There's a lot of different interests in the game, and that's I think what we need to do first is align interests of the players and the business and the fans and the media, and try to get everyone's interests aligned. And then once you do that, then you can move forward. So it's the aligning of interests, which is the big key to trying to get to that dream scenario.
Do you do any campaigning on that front with your fellow tour pro and definitely fellow elite tour pros and trying to align interests?
I'm done with that.
Fair enough.
I'm going to go to Jamie, just far left.
Sorry, Rory, just on David's question again. Do you think it's a shame that terrestrial TV doesn't have much golf, you know, when you're talking about that awful phrase, growing the game and all of that? But do you think that's a shame, or do you think now with the new way?
Well, I think legacy media is not what it once was. Terrestrial TV, print media, no offense, but we're transitioning into a different world, and I think people just consume their content differently than they once did. They want things on their phone, want things on their iPads. It's just different. The consumer now compared to the consumer 20 years ago is just very, very different.
And just on Spotty, if you like completed the career Grand Slam or anything, would you ever consider turning up?
I mean, I don't know. That's a hypothetical. Depends what my chances were of winning it, I guess.
We'll go to Joy, to the right.
Rory, do you ever think about things like that if you win this week, you will be the most successful player of Dubai Desert Classic with 4 titles, one more than Ernie. Do you ever think of those kind of things going into a week? Just the majors that you think like
No.
that.
I mean, I still no. I mean, my focus is firmly on the Dubai Desert Classic this week. You know, it's not. I want to carry on the good golf that I played last week, and I want to go out here and play well again. And but I think if you play good golf and you play the golf that you feel like you're capable of, then you can sit back and reflect and be like, oh, that's great. I've won one more than Ernie or whatever it is. But I certainly would never think that way going into a tournament. You know, I'm just trying to go out there and shoot the best possible score I can and see where that leaves me at the end of the week.
Just going back to Martin here on the left.
Rory, I noticed that Sergio, in response to you talking about an IPL and cricket competition probably being a good thing, had said they deserve to be more important than a month. Is it going to be difficult to get a scenario where everyone's going to be happy?
Yeah, Sergio feels he deserves a lot of things. Again, it's trying to align interests, as I said to Sean, and I think right now it's just very, very hard to align everyone's interest in the game.
Okay, we're going to finish off with Swami just here.
Rory, I can't help asking about Asia. I mean, this year probably the DP World Tour has one of its strongest Asian swings. What some of the elite golfers say from the DP World Tour, or maybe even the PGA, coming there would help the sport in that part of the world, which is obviously most populated.
Absolutely. I spoke to Dr. Manjal about it out on the course today. I mean, if this global tour is somehow comes to fruition in the next few years, could you imagine bringing the best 70 or 80 golfers in the world to India for a tournament, or that would change. I think would change the game and the perception of the game in a country like that. So again, there's so much opportunity out there to go global with it. And I've said this for the last few months, but golf's at an inflection point, and if golf doesn't do it now, I fear that it'll never do it, and we'll sort of have this fractured landscape forever. So, as I said, I hope it all works out.
Has Dr. Manjal ever invited you?
What's that?
Has Dr. Manjal invited you?
We've talked about it, but look, with how the golf calendar is at the minute, and that's the other thing that needs to be looked at. There's so many different golf tournaments that happen at different times, and it's going to be very hard for everything to piece together. But it's a country that I've never been to, and one that I would like to visit at some point in my life.
Thank you.
Rory, as always, thank you for your time and all the best this week.
Thank you.